The bustling market of Keiji Town echoed with sounds of traders calling out their wares and children weaving through stalls. The aroma of roasted corn mixed with spices filled the air as Io navigated the maze-like aisles. She was here to buy ingredients for the agusi stew her husband Tayo loved so much. But beneath her usual calm demeanor, tension simmered. "Io, how's Tayo?" Adiola, her neighbor, asked from behind her stall of brightly colored fabrics. "He's well, thank you," Ao replied, forcing a smile. Just as Adiola was about to mention yesterday's town meeting, Ao's phone buzzed. It was a message from her sister, Folake. "We're at your place. Surprise. Can't wait to see you." Io's heart leaped with excitement and a hint of anxiety. Her sister's visits were rare, and they often brought uninvited drama. As Io approached her compound, her niece's laughter greeted her. Folake sat on the veranda, eyes shaded by large sunglasses. Her husband was nowhere in sight as usual. He traveled for work, and Folake seemed to have adjusted to his long absences more smoothly than Io had imagined. "Ah, Io, the ever-busy woman," Folake exclaimed. Her voice was a mix of affection and tease. But Io noticed something odd. Folake's eyes darted away every now and then, as though she was hiding something. "Eku ile, Folake." Io greeted formally, her spirit swirling with curiosity. "I brought the girls. They missed their aunt," Folake said, pulling Ao in for a hug. Kemi, the older niece, tugged at Ao's wrapper. "Auntie, can we play in the back?" "Sure, but don't go near the well," Ao replied, stroking her niece's hair. Her mind wandered back to Folake, whose smile seemed pasted rather than genuine. Later in the afternoon, Io sat with Folake at the kitchen table, peeling yams. "How have you been, really?" Ao asked, sensing an undercurrent in her sister's usual chatter. Folake hesitated. "Things are fine. Tayo helps us a lot, you know." "Helps?" Io asked, the word rolling around awkwardly in her mind. "Yes, he's been kind to the girls," Folake said, a little too quickly. Kemi burst into the kitchen, holding a drawing. "Auntie, see what I drew, and guess what?" "What is it, dear?" Io replied, her attention divided. Kemi grinned, pointing at the drawing. "That's Mommy's boyfriend!" For a moment, the world froze. Ao felt as if the earth had been pulled from under her. What? What do you mean?" Kemi turned the paper, revealing a rough sketch of a man in a car. Her innocent face looked up expectantly for praise. "He's nice, and he brings us ice cream." Folake's face drained of color. She reached for Kemi, her fingers twitching nervously. "Go outside, Kemi. Go play with your sister." Io's voice shook as she demanded. "Folake, what is going on?" Folake's lips trembled. "Io, I was going to tell you. You let this happen?" Ao's voice cracked, a mixture of disbelief and anger. "It's not what it looks like," Folake rushed to explain, but the words felt hollow. "Tayo has been helping us because things have been difficult." Io's head spun as every fiber of trust began to unravel. That evening, Ao barely touched her food. The stew tasted bland, like ash against her tongue. She sat outside under the stars, hugging herself against the evening chill. Her mind replayed Folake's words, Kemi's revelation. Just then, she heard the creak of the gate. Tayo walked in with his usual carefree stride. He waved at Folake and the girls, who were sitting quietly, not meeting his eyes. Io stepped forward. "Tayo, we need to talk." He sensed the gravity in her tone and nodded. As they retreated into their shared bedroom, Io shut the door with a deliberate firmness. Battles were lost and won in this quiet space. In the dim glow of their room, Tayo tried to reach for Io, but she stepped back. "Why, Tayo? Why would Kemi point at you and say you're her mother's boyfriend?" The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the distant calls of night creatures. Tayo opened his mouth, then paused, searching for words that wouldn't come. Io watched him, her heart pounding an uneven rhythm. Finally, he spoke, each word layered with quiet intensity. "Io, you don't have the full story." "Then tell me," she challenged, her voice firm despite the storm inside her. But instead of an explanation, what he said next made everything spin out of control. His confession, delivered in careful whispers, was a key turning in a lock, opening unimagined doors of betrayal. With eyes wide in shock and hands trembling with rage, Io listened. The night closed in around them, thick with secrets. And as Tayo finished speaking, one thing was clear. Her world would never be the same again. Background noise faded as Ayo's resolve hardened. This was not over. Not yet. Ayo remained in the bedroom, her thoughts tumbling faster than she could catch them. Tayo's confession had left her hollowed, like a shell of the woman she had been only days before. He had been honest, at least, admitting to a closeness with Folag that veered terribly off course. "How could you betray me, Tayo?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "With my own sister?" "I was trying to help," Tayo began, but Ayo cut him off with a wave of her hand. "Help? You call this helping?" Anger surged through her, but beneath it a raw wound throbbed. "You couldn't just leave us be, let her figure things out with her husband? You had to get involved like this?" In the silence that followed, Ayo heard the distant laughter of children playing outside. It was a cruel contrast to the turmoil in her heart. She had always known that Tayo didn't intentionally set out to ruin their lives, but intention didn't change the pain. That night, unable to find rest, Ayo sat alone beneath the old talking drum tree. The night was alive with whispers. The ancestors seemed to speak through each rustle. If only they could offer her guidance now. Swallowing her pride, she texted her trusted cousin Sade to meet her early at the market square. "What are you thinking, Ayo?" Tayo asked when he found her outside, a silhouette against the moonlight. "Revenge," she replied coldly. The word tasted bitter, but it was all she could think of to make sense of her world again. And redemption. A trace of fear touched Tayo's eyes. "What do you mean?" "You'll see," was all she said. When the market sprang to life the next morning, Ayo was already there, pacing near the baskets of dried fish. Saad appeared wearing a headscarf that caught the wind like a sail. "Ayo, I'm here," Saadi announced gently, sensing the storm brewing behind her cousin's eyes. "I want you to tell everyone," Ayo said, her voice steel, "about Tayo and Falak. The town needs to know what kind of man he really is." Sade hesitated. "Ayo, is this really the way?" "I need him to feel what I felt," Ayo replied, her resolve hardening. Sade nodded slowly, though questions lingered in her gaze. She knew the power of words in KG, how quickly they could build or break someone. By midday, the story had woven itself into the chatter of the marketplace, spreading like harmattan dust. Ayo saw people glance at her with a mix of sympathy and scandal. She should have felt victorious, but instead, an unsettling emptiness settled within. Tayo too had heard. When he encountered Ayo later that day, his face was worn, like someone had carved years onto it overnight. "We can't live like this, Ayo," he said quietly. She looked at him, unsure whether to retreat or advance. But wasn't this what she wanted? The conversation turned when Adiola, the faithful neighbor, found Ayo walking home. "How are you, Ayo? You know, sometimes storms come to clear paths." Ayo halted, exhaustion and bitterness clinging to her like a heavy cloak. "What path am I to see in this storm, Adiola?" Adiola placed a kindly hand on Ayo's shoulder. "Do you remember in the good book, the story of Peter walking on water amidst the storm? He faltered when he looked at the waves instead of Jesus." Ayo shrugged off the words at first. They felt distant, irrelevant. But that night, clearing the shards of her heart, something shifted. As the days dragged on, Ayo cracked open a Bible that Tayo's mother had once given her. Its cover was cracked with neglect. Her eyes fell on Psalm 34, the words, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." She sank onto her knees, letting the tears slide freely. "Oh Lord," she prayed, not know what else to say. "I am broken." Her whispered plea did not bring immediate peace, but it eased a tightness in her chest. She felt as though something, or someone, had nudged aside just enough darkness to let a sliver of light through. The following morning, Ayo hesitantly approached Tayo in the kitchen. He was peeling yams, his shoulders slumped with the weight of their burden. "Tayo," she began softly, I told the town because I wanted you to feel my pain, but all I felt was more emptiness." His eyes met hers, a mix of surprise and sorrow. "I've hurt you more than I can express, Ayo." "I don't forgive you yet, Tayo," she admitted, the words raw. "But I'm willing to try." A small, tentative hope stirred. Not a lot, just enough. That Sunday, Ao found herself at church, the familiar rhythms and harmonies pulling her along. Fo Lake was there as well, standing apart from her sister, her eyes red from crying. As the sermon unfolded, the words of forgiveness washed over Ao like a gentle rain. "Forgive as the Lord forgave you," the pastor voiced over the gathering. Ao inhaled sharply, her mind an echo of clashing thoughts. Then, during a quiet hymn, she felt a hand on her arm. Folake had come to stand beside her. "I'm sorry, Ayo," Folake murmured, lips trembling. "I never meant for things to go this far." "I know," Ayo replied, her tone tentative yet open. She paused, memories coursing between them. "I need time, but maybe we can find a way forward." Folake nodded slowly, low bowing before God and sister. In the weeks that followed, things moved slowly. Forgiveness felt like a stitch in a large fabric requiring patience and care. Ayo and Teo began talking again, crafting new routines in the gentle warmth of morning. They invited Folake for dinners, where the past wasn't forgotten but met with grace as each day brought new choice to leave or heal. From the banyan tree, a single leaf fluttered down, its path unhurried as it landed at Ao's feet, and as she looked down at it, she understood. Christ had not saved them from their storm, but he guided them through it. As Ao touched the delicate piece of nature, a thought settled in her mind like a promise. Pain may linger, but faith and love could nurture and transform what had been crushed. A full smile, the first in months, slowly stretched across her face. There was much work to be done, but with hope cultivated in faith, redemption was not next door, but at home.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.